Well, hello there, and welcome. I actually feel like it hasn't been that long since I've seen you because the last time I uploaded my wrap-ups, it was very late last month, so I'm really hoping that I do get these up earlier in the month than last month. But this is the May reading wrap-up, so I am going to talk about all the books that I read in May and let you know what I thought about them. And usually I read like 9 books a month. That's like my thing now. But I did only read 6 books this month, and 2 of them were so short that they only took me about an hour to read. So I don't even know if those really count. But anyway, here are the books that I read. This is them. So the first one that I read is The Price Guide to the Occult by Leslye Walton. I read this because A, the cover is gorgeous, and B, I've heard so many great things about Leslye Walton's other book that when she came out with a new book, I really wanted to read something by her. And this is also about witches, and I was very in a witch mood when I bought this book, so that was making me excited. But every time I picked it up to read, I could not remember what had happened before. The story just didn't stick with me, and I still don't really remember what happened in the story. So because I don't remember what happened in the story, I'm just going to read what it says on the back to help explain what the story is about. Okay, so it says, all Nora Blackburn wants is to live an unremarkable teenage life on the sweet little touristy island she calls home. But then a mysterious book comes out. The island's flora and fauna raise their hackles, and strangers and acquaintances alike begin sprouting ominous fern tattoos. A storm is coming. It's coming for Nor. I feel like that doesn't even really explain it much either. This is a very hard book to describe. It involves witches, there's murder, there's family drama, and if you can call it family drama. It was very boring for such a interesting concept of a story, and it was very hard to follow. The characters felt very flat, and I just couldn't really care about them. I will say the one thing I really loved about this book was the prologue. I thought the beginning of the book was just so interesting and really set a tone for what I thought the book was going to be. But then it just got very messy and too complicated, and it just completely lost my interest. So unfortunately I'm gonna have to give this 2 out of 5 stars. The next book I read, The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this book is about Molly, a teenage girl who has had nothing but tons and tons of crushes. She is Superboy crazy, but nothing ever comes from the crushes because she is just so terrified of rejection that she doesn't do anything about it. She just admires them from afar. But then her twin sister gets a girlfriend and starts this wonderful romance, and Molly starts to feel lonely, I guess, and she ends up finding 2 crushes at one time. And will anything come of those crushes this time around? We'll see. I have never connected with a book so much, and I'm surprised at how much I did connect with this book just because this involves a bunch of teenagers and teenagery things. So I thought I'd connect with it a little bit, but just not completely, but I was so wrong. The main character Molly, her voice is so much like my voice because all of my crushes have been unrequited, and the way that she rationalized her feelings and her reasonings behind not going for the crushes just felt really authentic, and definitely I was highlighting so much because I was this is exactly how I feel put into words form, because I can never put it into words how I feel. I got so sucked into this story, and I loved every single character. I felt the friendships and the family, the friends and family relationships were done very well. And I loved that there was so much representation in this book too. You had a pansexual, you had some lesbians, you had some gays, you had Jewish, you had Black, you had so much going for it, so much different representation. Like there's definitely a character in here for you. It's just such a joyful, feel-good book that I definitely see myself going back to, even though I don't reread books, but I can see myself rereading this book if I ever feel like it. So I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read, Saga Volume 5. Can you see it? Sorry, I just realized the sunlight is affecting. Okay, you see it. Saga Volume 5. If you guys have been here and watching these videos, you know I've been reading the Saga series and loving it. Although the 4th one, I was a little bit disappointed, but this, it's getting better. The series is getting better. I really loved this one. I think this one might be my second favorite of the whole series, but I will explain the whole entire series again. Pretty much we follow a war that is happening between 2 galaxies, but then it's like bringing in the whole universe, so everyone's fighting. But it's mainly between the horned people and the winged people. But a horned person and a winged person have fallen in love and created a child, and now everyone is out to kill them and their child, and so they're just constantly on the run. But in this one we have Marco, who has teamed up with Prince Robot 4 to find his wife and his child, which they have technically kind of been like kidnapped, and they're on this like strange new place with a bunch of new enemies. But we also follow Gwendolyn, who is trying to find we follow Gwendolyn and the kid whose name I can never remember, but we are following them to try and find the cure for the will, which involves dragons. So this is just a very fun, action-packed series, and the artwork is actually pretty good as well. I really enjoy the artwork of this one. I have to say, I really missed Isabel, who was like the ghost who is also the babysitter. I can't remember what happened to her. I don't think she died. If she had died, I'm very upset about it, but I feel like I would have remembered that. So I don't know what happened to Isabel, where she is, but I want her back. However, I did really enjoy the addition of Gus. I have no idea what animal Gus is, but he is so cute. I just want to like pinch him, and I really love the way he talks. It's just, Gus is so cute. So of course the series is still super fun, creative, entertaining, but I definitely really enjoyed this, and it's making me excited for the next one. So 4.5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read, which I don't even know if you consider it a book because it's so short, but it is We Should All Be Feminists by an author whose name I know I am going to butcher, so I'm not even going to try to say it. This is just a short, not even 50-page essay about feminism. I think this was actually a TED Talk that this woman did, and it just got turned into a book. I felt this was a very effective essay about the role of gender in society and why so many people have like the wrong idea about feminism, but then like challenging those ideas and explaining why it's so important. I also just love how it doesn't like just flat out blame men. It's not like men are the problem, blah blah blah. It's not that at all. Instead, it just what is the words? Instead, it just like provides logical arguments for a positive change. I did want this to be longer, understandably, because it's very short, but I understand it's an essay. This was just a stand-up speech that someone gave, but I still would love to hear more from this author, so I might try and go pick up more stuff by her, because this was great. But I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read is Never Have I Ever, My Life So Far Without a Date by Katie Henney. I was recommended this by my friend Thompson, which, as you know, whenever she recommends a book to me, I must read it because I always seem to love them. And that was again the case with this book. And this is the book that fulfilled my nonfiction book a month goal that I gave myself this year. And I am very happy about this. This definitely felt like a me book. So this is about a 25, 26-year-old, not sure, who has never had a boyfriend, never been on a date, but has been pretty close, just never crossed that finish line. But these are just like stories of those encounters with guys, whether they were crushes from afar, or she actually like kissed a boy, or like that kind of stuff. But I love how it was organized, where we started off with like this like elementary school days, yeah, the early years, and then we go to high school, and then college, and then grad school as an adult, and just all these different stories of the shenanigans and things that occurred from boys. This was just so funny and relatable, just like the upside of Unrequited. I felt like she was speaking from my voice because it felt so deja vu-y, I guess is the word I'm looking for. I'm not sure, but this girl is definitely just as boy crazy as me. Her voice was definitely way more witty and charming than mine is, and definitely more humorous, so I very much enjoyed that. But I also really liked how this wasn't just about her trying to find a guy. It was also just about her trying to like navigate this world where she feels like she's the only fish left in the pond, like she's the only one in mid-20s who has never had a boyfriend. It just felt really great to know that I'm not the only one out there who is struggling through this as an adult. I enjoyed this very much. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And the last book that I read is Arusha and the End of Time by Roshni Chokshi. God, why do I always flub up that word? I keep trying so hard to say it. This book was just so much fun. We follow Arusha, who finds out that she is a Pandava brother. So technically I guess a Pandava sister. And she goes on this adventure to like save the world from a demon with the help of one of her other Pandava sisters, Minnie. So this is just a really great first book in a series that deals with Hindu mythology, and this is a children's series as well, so it does have very much a childlike voice to it, but still being super funny and just very, very fun and full of adventure. I loved it. I really enjoyed reading a book that dealt with mythology I know nothing about. This also had really amazing characters. It had really fun voices. I feel like I'm using the word fun too much, but it is a fun book. What was so refreshing about this book was there was no romance. Not many books do that. All books usually have at least some form of romance in it. This has none, which, like I said, is very refreshing to read. And I'm excited for the second book, but I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. And that is it for this reading wrap up. I feel like it's a lot shorter because there weren't as many books and I didn't talk as much about them. But I still hope that you enjoyed this video and stay tuned for more. Definitely go check out my movie wrap up for May, as well as my just all general life wrap up for May. And I will see you guys later with another video. Bye!